Hey friends, welcome and or welcome back to my channel. I'm Adanna, and on this channel we talk about all things stories and self-care. So books that we love, books that we want to read, authors that we love, and self-care. So if you're interested in that sort of content and you haven't subscribed yet, definitely subscribe down below. Also hit the notification bell so that you are notified of every single time that I upload. And follow me on Instagram and Twitter, Adanna L. Today I'm going to be talking about the books that I plan on reading in the month of May. So my May TBR. I am really excited to have a couple of books on this list because one, I like to be able to prepare ahead of time so that I know exactly what books that I need to reserve, what books I need to purchase, and so that I'm not caught like unaware without a book to read. I hate that feeling of like, oh, what am I going to read next? And so I love pre-planning the books that I want to read so that I'm prepared and can go from one book to the next. So if you're interested in learning about what I have on my list and what I'm probably going to keep on my nightstand for this month, keep watching. So the first book that I plan on putting on my list for the month of May is Truly Devious by Maureen Brown. I am really excited to have this book on my list because one, I love the mystery whodunit sort of books, which is no surprise. And this is the first in a trilogy where that is the whole main focus. It follows Stevie Bell, who's the main character, and she is basically trying to solve a mystery about a school that she is actually attending. She's going to this school and something that had happened so many years ago, and now that she's there, she's trying to solve that mystery. It is, again, like I said, the first in the Truly Devious series, and so I'm hoping that I actually like this book because if I do, I can definitely just read the next one. So I love having books in series on my list. It makes it so much easier for me to figure out what the next book is going to be. And so I'm excited to dive into this series and see exactly if I do enjoy it and can read the next one. The next book that I have on my list to be read in May is Jade City by Fonda Lee. Admittedly, today is April 27th that I'm recording this. I have already actually started reading this book. And it's good. I'm hoping though, I'm putting this on my list because technically I do want to be able to finish it. It is almost 500 pages, and so it's a pretty thick book, and the font is not that big, so it is a substantial book. And so technically, even though I started in April, I'm hoping to actually finish it in May, and that's why it's on my TB read list. I actually found this book through watching Toni Morrow. She's a booktuber here on YouTube, and her review of this book actually really grabbed my attention and made me say, like, you know what, let me see if that's available at my library. And it was. It's Kismet. I believe in Kismet. So I'm really excited to actually have this on my list. No surprise, it is a fantasy book, or that's how it's billed at least. And we all know who I am. I love a good fantasy book. And so it has a lot of kung fu, gangster, magical powers. And so I'm excited. I'm really excited to finish this one, and I'm happy to have it on my May to be read list. The next book that I have on my book list for May is My Sister the Serial Killer by Oyinkan Brathwaite. So this book is actually interesting for me to add to my May to be read list because in a sort of way that I haven't actually verbalized, but I know in my head, I want to read much more Nigerian authors, and more specifically women authors, Nigerian authors. And so this book has gotten a lot of hype, and it is really popular. It's not necessarily a genre that I read a lot. I wouldn't even know what genre to put it in, but I'm really excited by the fact that, a Nigerian woman author is getting her shine. And so I definitely want to read it and learn more about it. This book is actually set in Lagos, Nigeria, where the main character, Korede, is basically the older sister to Ayula, who has just killed her third boyfriend. Yeah. I'm really excited to read this because mostly, again, because of that Nigerian tie, but also because I have a younger sister. She's not a serial killer at all. Like, she's never killed anyone. She's the sweetest person in the world. I always love to read about other sister dynamics. And so this is one I hope that no one ever actually has to experience, but I just think that it's fascinating. I'd love to actually just kind of read it. And I think it would be maybe a good read to just kind of like unwind and just kind of have that to my list. So I'm really excited to read My Sister the Serial Killer by Oyinkan Brathwaite. The next book that I have on my list is Cinderella is Dead by Kaylin Barron. This is actually a book that I'm really excited to have on my list because we are following a young woman named Sophie, who she is living in a time where there's an annual ball and all of the men of the kingdom actually pick their wives from this ball. And if you don't get picked, you're never to be seen from again. And Sophie is really not into that. She would love to actually marry her best friend, Aaron. I'm not sure if Aaron is a male or female, but I am really excited to read it because one, if Aaron is a female, that's a different take and I love to see a different perspective. And I also love the fact that Sophie actually is able to connect with Cinderella's last living relative, Constance, and they actually work to dismantle that society of men picking wives from this annual ball and that whole tradition. So I'm really excited to, one, get a different perspective on that whole Cinderella story. And who doesn't love a good women, female empowerment sort of story, which I believe this book is sort of billed as. So I'm really excited to have Cinderella is Dead by Kaylin Barron on my May to be read list. The last book that I have on my list to be read in May is The House by the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. I will say that I am so excited to read this book or have it on my list because it is really hyped up. A lot of people have rated it really highly on Goodreads, and Goodreads really doesn't steer me wrong. So I'm really excited to have it on my list. I don't know too much about it. Some of the reviews that I've watched or read have kind of described it as similar to the Umbrella Academy on Netflix, which I really do enjoy, and I love that whimsical sort of, storytelling. And so I'm really excited to read this book, or at least have it on my list. It is very tough for me to get a hold of this at my library because it is so popular. So I may end up purchasing it, but I'm hoping to at least get my hands on some sort of copy, whether it be an audiobook or an ebook or something, a physical book in my hands before May is over so that I can actually read it. All right, and that is it. Those are all of the books that I have on my list to be read in the month of May. We only have 5 books, but again, I like to be able to have just a list of books that I want to be able to read so that I'm able to not necessarily waste time figuring out what I want to read next. And so I'm really excited about the selection that I have. We have some fantasy, we have some whimsical, we have some thriller, suspense, and mystery. And I am really excited to have them all on my list. I may not be able to get to all of them, but I'm excited to be able to at least pre-plan what I want to read. Let me know which book that you think that I should start. Well, I've already started Jade City, but which book I should read next after finishing Jade City. Also, if you've read any of these books, let me know what you thought about them. Should I take any of these books off my list, or should I prioritize one over the other? I don't know, but you let me know. If you like this video, definitely give it a thumbs up. Also, subscribe if you haven't done so, and hit the notification bell so that you are notified of every single time that I upload. Also, follow me on Instagram and Twitter, Adanna L. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye.